Right, so this is a pretty shocking story I seen out of Global News, and it's titled "Canada's Stock Market is the second worst performer in the world next to Venezuela," and that's like a third, fourth world country that's in complete disaster, um, mainly due to socialism. I'll throw that caveat in there. But yeah, this is very shocking. So let's read a little bit about it and we'll talk more. According to a report by Maclean's magazine, since the market peak in 2008, just before the Great Recession, out of 106 world stock markets, Canada stands at 105th. It's the worst performer next to, now catch this, Venezuela. The energy sub-index has fallen by more than a third as the TSX has gained only 14% in the last 10 years. Yikes. The stock market's up like 50. It's maybe not quite that much, but it's like 10,000 points, at least since and it's just since Trump's got in. Whereas the S&P rose 101%. I think that might be comparing it to the States, but and with Canadian crude oil prices trading at a huge discount, the equity markets don't appear they'll get better anytime soon, as things aren't improving this year. Um, in 2007, energy dropped 10% to restrain the TSX to a mere 6% advance, versus a gain of 19.4% for the S&P 500. And I'm not going to read anymore. You can go check out the article if you want. But I wanted to make a video about this because, according to the left, especially going into the last election, according to most of these mainstream media outlets, which is weird that Global is reporting this, but nonetheless, Global, I would say, is a little better than the CBC and CTV of the world, but still pretty bad, and I wouldn't suggest watching them. But this is where Canada's at, in that you have all these lefties that always argue, oh, well, the economy's not that bad. The economy's not that bad. Justin Trudeau's actually doing a not bad job. Are you joking? Like, who do you think you're? I mean, you're fooling a lot of people, but man, how dumb do these people gotta be? Like, I know Alberta's worse than the rest of Canada, but like, I think it's partially the fact that people have gotten used to how bad things are, in that it's kind of the new normal, and that it's been like the new generation of people growing up, the economy hasn't been that great. Like, under Harper, it was so. It's kind of up and down, but the economy as a whole has been bad for the last 20-25 years. I mean, I know, like I say, it's been up and down, but wages haven't grown. Housing prices have gone way up. You know, that's the biggest thing, and that wages haven't grown in like 20-25 years. Housing prices are skyrocketing, especially in the major cities. And what all the stuff that the government has done to address this kind of stuff, is just more regulations, more BS that doesn't help. Like I say, you look at the states; their economy is doing decent. I mean, it's due for a setback at the very least, if not a recession. Um, but it's doing very well. I mean, the states is at like 3.5% unemployment. Like I say, in Alberta, we're 7-8%. Canada's global average is I think about 5.5, 6. Yet you'll still have these utter idiots. I mean, they're just biased partisan people, but they'll still try and claim that Canada is doing better than the states, or the states is worse than Canada. But again, it just goes to show just how biased people are, and that's Trump. Trump is a perfect example of determining whether or not people have a political bias, namely people that didn't support him, or at least skeptical of him going into the election. If anybody you know who is skeptical, or wasn't supportive of Trump going into the election, isn't at least more supportive, even if it's a small amount, you can tell 100% for sure that they are political partisan. Nothing you can say will change their mind. Again, I'm still very critical of Trump. Personally, I would vote for him just because he's doing such good things for the economy. But the fact that he hasn't really cut back on the debt, the fact that he again, I'm kind of torn on the immigration issue. On one hand, he hasn't got a whole lot done. On the other hand, the Democrats are literally fighting tooth and nail. Like, you think Canadian politics are polarized, man? Wait, you should pay attention to the states. Like, man, you got Bernie Sanders supporters violently attacking people. It seems like on a weekly, almost bi-weekly basis. Like, that's kind of where we're at, and things are crazy in the states. But getting back to Canada, like I said, the economy, it's brutal, and the problem is that I mean, there's no legitimate opposition. The conservative opposition is just, we're not the liberals, you should support us. They don't actually really have any, and that's the other thing too to point out to people. Oh, you're just biased against Trudeau. I didn't vote conservative. If an election was tomorrow, I wouldn't vote conservative. So the bias argument is stupid, and it just goes to show you're not paying attention. But that's the problem with Canada, is we have no legitimate opposition. And the other thing I point out too, for the people that gripe about that, which me included, but the part of the reason is that I don't think, even if there was a legit opposition, that they would get voted in. Like Alberta, Saskatchewan, most of Manitoba, a lot of BC, already all voted conservative. The only way conservatives are going to get back in is if they can win seats in the Maritimes or Ontario, namely around Toronto, and that's not going to happen. So the Liberals are going to stay in. The Liberals are going to stay in next election. It doesn't matter how bad, and that's part of the reason why Trudeau is so brazen, and why he has such a poor attitude, and why he really does. He's taken a holiday, it seems like, once a month. He's working like literally like half as much as the average person. Um, that's why he's doing all that kind of stuff, because I think he knows that whatever they do, they're still going to get voted back in, and it's namely mostly due to immigration. If immigration would have been kept at the levels it was 10, 15 years ago, there's no way in hell they would have got voted back in. Partially due to the fact that the media is completely biased in their favor. The public schools, universities, completely biased to the left. Like if it was a level playing field, the liberals would get absolutely destroyed. But because things are so swayed in one side, the conservatives get destroyed. But that's kind of the game we have to play with. Um, Pretty much the only option that the people that are awake out there have is prepare. Like the economy's not going to get, especially in Alberta. Like the Kenney government's kind of meh. I think they're doing some things good, some things that they're really dragging really doing a poor job on. But there's a lot of stuff that they can't get through. They need the Fed's approval, and it's not going to happen. And the problem is that the thing too is that the left is so invested in their positions that they do whatever it takes to to continue things. Like the left is so invested in this idea that you know our energy industry is horrible and it's the worst thing ever, that they'll do whatever. Like I say, just brazen bias. Quebec gets a pipeline, but BC, you don't get a pipeline. We're not going to use Alberta oil, but we'll buy oil from the Saudis. Just like endless, like I could go on and on and on about the hypocritical double standard of them. But and like I said, the reason why they do it is that not enough people care. Like they know like I say, there's people that literally, like, we could lose every single oil and gas job there is, and yet those people are still going to check the liberal box next election, because the brainwashing, the fact that a lot of these people are completely dependent on welfare, or on getting free health care. I mean, it's taxpayer funded, but they probably pay little taxes, and they're going to the doctor, every week, every 2 weeks, costing the system hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, probably millions by the time they're dead, and they may be paid into it like a tenth of what they took out. And like I say, those kind of people, they literally would vote Liberal or NDP no matter what. There is literally nothing that could happen. Justin Trudeau could literally come out as a communist tomorrow. Like I said, this is not hyperbole whatsoever. Um, I wish it was. I really do wish it was. He could literally come out as a communist tomorrow. We're going to turn Canada into a communist country. The RCMP, the military would be all on board. Those people still would vote for him without a doubt. And like I said, there's that many people in Canada that would do that. That's why things are so bad. That there's that many people. And like I say, people. I mean, I haven't been making YouTube videos long enough, but there's plenty of people out there. They've been making YouTube videos for 10, 15 years. They've been battling this, and people just don't listen. And long story short, like I said, I think we're due for a major recession. I've made videos about this before. And when that major recession hits, let's just hope that, I mean, I would bet against it. I think that there's literally going to be a massive I mean, there's going to be a Great Depression times 10 that's going to happen within the next 50 to 100 years, probably, maybe sooner. Um, and tons of people are going to die. I think people are going to finally wake up to the idea that